On this episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast, we talk about All of a Sudden I Miss Everyone by Explosions in the Sky.
It's Non-Metal March.
It's Non-Metal March. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast. I'm Kayle.
I'm OJ.
We're two professional broadcasters. We like to listen to metal and we like to talk about it. And sometimes we like to take a little bit of time out of our busy schedules to talk about things that aren't metal.
Because at the end of the day, we're just music fans in general. We generally tend to listen to metal, but man, there's a lot of music we really love.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's out there.
Uh-huh.
We got really, really weirdly formal with that introduction. I feel we were really put together there for a second.
I did. It almost sounded like for the first time in nearly 3 fucking years
we gave a shit. That's about to end.
Let's quash that now.
Let's quash that. But yeah, Explosions in the Sky is a post-rock band from Austin, Texas. They're founded
Instrumental.
in 1999. They've been around producing music for a while. They haven't put out a full-length album in a few years at this point. I think their last full-length came out in 2016, which was right around when I started getting into them.
Sure.
I don't think I've actually really listened to their latest full-length because it was kind of not my thing. They went into sort of more of a dream pop type direction.
Oh,
which
really?
I enjoy sometimes. I don't mind some dream pop kind of stuff. Like early Hammock kind of falls into that territory.
There's some on this.
Yeah,
that's a little bit.
This is a very Explosions in the Sky sort of codified a whole section of the post rock genre.
Sure.
As like this is a thing. Whereas post-rock was generally just a nebulous umbrella term for a band that has the instruments found in a rock band that makes music that is not typical of a rock band.
Right.
That's post-rock, basically. Whereas their style kind of sort of set in stone a lot of trends in post-rock. They had a ton of copycats. We listened to Caspian a while ago.
Sure. And
Caspian sort of started out very much sort of copying Explosions in the Sky's style and grew.
They were biters
over the years. They were biters?
Sorry, that's an expression from my youth. Yes.
Okay.
Quit biting me means quit copying me.
Okay. See, I think aping off is a term. I don't know where that comes from.
That's a long time ago. That's much older. Yeah. Aping
off of somebody's style. I don't know where do the apes come into it? Do apes copy? We're apes. So is everything we do aping?
I think it comes from
I was just aping around the other day because I am an ape. A great ape.
It comes from before we humans probably like accepted that we are apes.
We are apes.
I think we're saying that the apes are mimics of us.
Oh, it's like when chimpanzees copy, what someone does.
Right.
And they see someone looking at them through some bars.
Sure.
That always makes me sad. Seeing monkeys and apes in zoos and stuff, because it's like they're people basically, and it's just kind of sad to see them sort of stuck in the same place all the time.
But know firsthand that monkey you're seeing behind bars did murder somebody.
That's why they're in there.
That's why they're in there.
That's actually jail.
Right.
I didn't know that.
Right. They thought, well, we could put him, at a Supermax, or we could send him to San Diego.
That's why they shot Harambe.
Yeah, that's why, because he had it fucking coming.
That was his second offense.
Exactly.
He was already behind bars.
Right.
They weren't taking any chances.
No, I mean,
he's a violent offender.
After the last time. Yeah. Fucking Harambe.
You have there was a different story that I saw, a video of a completely different situation in which a child fell into a gorilla enclosure. And there was a female gorilla who she was 8 years old, I think, which is, I think, adulthood for gorillas. Sure. And the female gorilla came over and took care of the kid and actually brought the kid over to where the zookeepers come in and handed the kid off to them, basically.
Right.
Like he was pretty hurt. But this gorilla came over and was like taking care of him, basically. And it's like, where do you draw? I mean, I guess Harambe grabbed the kid by the leg and was dragging him around. This gorilla came over and was being very gentle and like picked him up and was like, oh, it's okay. But it's kind of like, I have to wonder what people watching were thinking, like, that fucking gorilla's going over to the kid.
Sure.
But I don't know. Generally, gorillas are pretty placid, generally speaking.
In the wild. If you come through an area in the mountains somewhere where there are gorillas living in the wild,
which is very rare,
rare. But if that did happen, they would avoid you like the plague.
Generally speaking, yeah. Unless you're being very very quiet yourself, and like, I mean, there's places where you can go where like they'll take you and maybe you'll see some gorillas. And I saw some videos of a photographer was just sitting down and this troop of gorillas came by. I actually don't know if a group of gorillas is called a troop.
I think it is.
It's a group of chimpanzees is called a troop, but I don't know if that's what they call a group of gorillas. In any sense, these gorillas...
Siri, what is a group of gorillas called?
I found two, troop and band.
Okay, or
also
a band. I think I've seen band more often.
A band of gorillas?
Yeah, but this family came over and the silverback was just kind of standing there watching these two, and they were just sort of sitting very quietly along the side of this path as the gorillas came through, and the fucking kids came over and were just like grabbing this dude's hat and his hair and just like just messing with him as he's just sitting there, just like, there's a fucking 600-pound silverback right over there and his kids are fucking with me. I'm just going to be very still right now. And
I want to say, Mr. Silverback, for the record, I am not inciting any of this. I am not touching your kids.
Well, and eventually the dad came over and just kind of like gently nudged the young gorillas off of him. Like, okay, leave the nice man alone. You've had your fun. It's time to leave these nice people alone and let them go about their business.
Sure.
And we shall go about ours, eating our fruits and berries and whatnots. I think gorillas are really cool.
Oh, yeah.
I find them more cool than chimpanzees, mostly because gorillas aren't known for ripping your balls off.
They're not known for that.
They're not known to do that, whereas chimpanzees are known to do that.
If you look in the encyclopedia under gorilla, ripping balls off is not anywhere in there.
Tearing people's faces off, also not in there.
Right.
Despite the fact that they're probably more physically capable of doing that.
Oh, totally.
But yeah, I don't know where we were, somewhere before we started talking about apes.
Don't know.
But yeah, we'll talk more about explosions in the sky in a while. First, you been up to anything this week?
Once again, man, I did shit. I mean, I'm going to get my vaccine this weekend.
Yeah, because you have health conditions.
I have health conditions because I'm old and fat, and I've got liver enzymes, and I've got tachycardia,
and you've got
flatulence,
and you've got brain rot, and you've got
space madness.
I've got he's got space dementia.
Get him in for his Moderna shot.
The best line.
Yeah.
And I was about to say Aerosmith's. That's not the It's Aerosmith's movie. Armageddon is Aerosmith's movie.
Right.
The Aerosmith movie,
Armageddon
with Liv Tyler.
The dumbest movie premise ever.
Oh, but I like that movie still.
It's fun to watch.
It's a guilty pleasure
It's
of mine.
a dumb idea. Who thought that what we're going to do instead of training astronauts to push a button on a fucking drill, we're going to train a bunch of goddamn
oil drillers
to be astronauts. Really?
Because you totally can't because oil rigs, as we know here, residents of North Dakota,
sure,
oil rigs only take highly trained professionals.
Right. I know a bunch of those guys.
Yeah. Oil rigs will only accept highly trained professionals to operate their equipment. People don't just turn up with criminal records and any kind of backgrounds to work as a greenhorn on an oil rig.
Right.
They don't take just anybody. They're known for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's a silly premise. I do like the part in the movie where the Russian astronaut who, for whatever reason, I don't know what it is in Hollywood, where if you need an Eastern European character, who's the most logical actor for you to get? Well, obviously, it's Peter Stormare.
Sure.
A Swedish
Stormare,
actor,
yeah.
Stormare from Sweden.
Yeah.
To play these Eastern European characters.
He does the same accent every time. He even admits that freely.
Yeah.
It's the same accent.
It's the same accent. Nobody cares. It's Peter Stormare.
Yeah.
And there's something on a space shuttle that's not working, and he just hits it with a hammer a bunch of times and it starts working again.
Sure.
And I think that's funny because Russian technology. Or no, they were on a space station. They were on a Russian space station.
They were on Mir or whatever.
Yeah, because Mir was still up there at that time. It is no longer. I think it burned up in the atmosphere a while
Something like
ago. Which also reminded me of the movie Gravity, which I like the characters and performances. I fucking hate all of the science.
Yeah, it's silly.
Because that's not how space works. It's not how.
If you fall from space, your best bet is to find some water to fall into. Right.
Yeah.
Because.
Well, that just happens to be where her ship fell.
Sure.
Because the re-entry was pretty botched considering for most of the time her capsule was still attached to a space station that was exploding. But the capsule that was being used is a Chinese version of the Soyuz capsule.
Right.
Which is designed to land on solid ground, not in the water. All U.S. capsules generally are designed to land in the water.
Yeah, except for the dragons.
Those dude. Where do the Dragon capsules land?
On land. They self-land.
No, the boosters.
Oh, the boosters land.
The boosters,
not the
land
dragons.
themselves to be reused. The capsules, I'm pretty sure, land in water.
Right.
The Soyuz capsules typically land somewhere in the middle of fucking Siberia.
Sure.
Because the Soviets figured we don't really have easy unrestricted access to large swaths of the Pacific Ocean, but we do have easy unrestricted access to massive swaths of uninhabited wilderness, which is also why the Soyuz capsule comes equipped with a sawed-off shotgun.
Right.
Because there's fucking bears out there.
Yeah.
I think it's a shot. Either that or it's a general survival, right?
I feel like some of the bears that live in Siberia, if you shot them with a shotgun, I don't know what the bear equivalent to belly laughing is.
Well, if it's a slug right in the face, they're not gonna. That ain't nothing.
Right. It'll anger them.
Generally speaking, European and Asian brown bears are a fair bit smaller than American brown bears.
Sure.
American brown bears tend to be the largest among them. Kodiak bears are the largest bears. Period.
I thought polar bears.
Polar bears on average are, if you consider them species wise.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Because the Kodiak bear is a subspecies of brown bears.
Sure.
So generally brown bears smaller than polar bears, but specifically the subspecies of the Kodiak bear is larger than. Their thing is they're so goddamn heavy. They be beefy.
Anytime somebody brings up Kodiak bears, I just hear, "He's a very stupid man."
Well, that wasn't in Kodiak. That was Katmai. I think that was. I actually don't remember what national park that was.
Well, it was in Alaska.
Yeah, it was in Alaska. But there's the Katmai National Park in Alaska where they have the fat bear competition every year.
Right. Those are some chonks.
Those are fucking chonky ass bears. I love seeing pictures of them. They're great. They bring joy to my cold, dead heart. Which reminds me of explosions in the sky.
Yeah.
Brings joy to my cold, dead heart.
This is a very joyous thing to listen to.
I adore this album. This album means a lot to me specifically. Most people generally, I think their favorite Explosions in the Sky album is The Earth Is Not a Cold, Dead Place, which unlike my heart, which I really like that album. But this album just means a lot to me in general because it was something I was listening to a lot when I was making my first D&D character.
Sure.
And so there's a specific song on here that became that character's like theme song.
Yeah.
And I actually have the It's Natural to Be Afraid.
Oh, okay.
I actually have his character sheet.
Really, right there.
I keep all my character sheets.
Sure.
But I have his character sheet here, and you can see 3 failed death saves in the middle of that sheet because he died, and that was I think that was very fitting. A very fitting end for that character.
Rickon Kulinov?
Yeah, he went by Griffin most of the time. He had a Griffin motif, generally speaking. He grew up in a place where there was a lot of Griffins, and that's just. I was playing The Witcher at the time.
Was it Rhode Island?
Yeah, it was. It was. God, I didn't get that fucking joke when you did the laugh. But yeah, he went by Griffin most of the time. He had a very. I went into a lot of detail with it, but his backstory, generally speaking, was very much sort of the typical my first D&D character of whole family dead, etc.
Sure.
But then I sort of switched that on its head, where he wasn't an edgy character. He was a middle-aged half elf, so he's in his late 80s, and like he's had a lot of tragedy in his life, but he's moved past all of it essentially. And he's sort of recovered and learned from what's happened to him, and now like there's another war that's happening, and he's deciding to take a more active part in this and to be a hero. And he ends up, after he died, becoming a god, because this setting didn't really have gods as we were playing it, and essentially through the course of this, kind of apocalyptic war that was going on, he had become such a heroic figure alongside the other people in the party that when he died, he was essentially elevated to godhood.
Nice.
It's just, I commissioned art for this character that cost way too much money, but I really like the art.
Did you draw this here?
Yeah, I drew that.
That's actually pretty good.
It's all right. I'm not. I think I've gotten worse at drawing since then. Yeah. But I can do like a profile, I don't even want to say decent profile sketch, but it was enough. But yeah, it's just, I was listening to that a lot. I was listening to this album a lot at the time. And so I really connect it to this character, which still is my favorite character I've ever played. Really? In the game.
Well, it was your first.
It was my first. And it was also the character that I've been most keyed into.
You never forget your first.
Yeah. Hey. But it was the character that I've like been most invested in their personal story, and in, how the story ended up ending and everything like that. Like I spent more time role playing as that character and invested more energy into role playing as that character than anyone I've played since, because I think I was really new to it, and I was really into role playing because they were very combat heavy sessions, and so most of the role playing happened in between games over Facebook chats, and I spent like sometimes my entire night going back and forth with other players, just having conversations in character with the DM, the DM watching basically and providing context for things when needed and that sort of thing. Like I spent entire nights. I would be up late sometimes thinking of what my character's response would be. And that was kind of the other nice thing is I have trouble. I'm not particularly good at improv. And so I have trouble coming up with good responses to things in the moment. I kind of have a little bit of trouble role playing in being in character in the game in the moment, versus if I have a minute or so to really think of what this character would say, I can come up with something that I think is really, really good and meaningful. And I got super, super into it. If I could make this is probably, he's not this good, but like later on I would watch Avatar. Sure. And like Uncle, oh God, why did I forget his name all of a sudden?
Remus.
Yeah, Uncle Remus. No.
Touchy.
No.
Uncle
Zuko's uncle.
Uncle. Avatar. I'm picturing the blue guys.
No.
Oh yeah. Uncle. Iroh? No.
Yeah, it's Iroh.
Yeah, Iroh.
Yeah, it's the best comparison I could think of is kind of an Uncle Iroh type figure, where he's got a lot of experience. He's, some terrible things have happened to him. He's done some things that are not super great, but he's moved on from that. Griffin didn't really have a character arc. He just he stayed the same dude while I was playing as him. He was just a dude that had a lot of wisdom to dispense. And I feel like some of the things I said actually were relatively profound. And I don't know where the fuck any of that came from, because Lord knows I don't have that much life experience.
You were in character.
I was in character and thinking of shit to say, and I was like, this seems kind of deep. I'll go with that.
That always pisses me off when you get that extreme esprit de l'escalier when you're playing D&D.
I'm not sure what's esprit de
escalier, the wisdom of the staircase.
Okay,
it's from the French, obviously. It's as you got all your shit in your packet up and you go in, you go.
I should have said that.
I should have said that.
That would have been more in my character. It would have been, and because that's the other thing is D&D sort of mirrors real life a little bit in the sense that a game mechanic, not necessarily codified, but a part of the game can be. You didn't say the right thing to this person, and now there are consequences.
Right.
You didn't talk this, potential villain out of what they were trying to do, and now they're going to take over the town and kill a bunch of people while you're away. That sort of thing. But that's sort of where I come from with this album. I really connect everything to that one song. I make playlists for every D&D character I play that I plan on getting invested in.
Wow.
I make a Spotify playlist of songs that inspire me, and I try to make them kind of narratively fit periods of their lives.
This is depressing. The last time I made a D&D character that I was invested in, there was no such thing as Spotify. That did not exist.
Well, hey, whenever I get my feet off, I was about to say get my feet off the ground. Whenever I start levitating, then I'm going to start a D&D campaign. Once I learn how to levitate.
Sure.
But yeah, once, I can get some, once everybody gets to be vaccinated, unlike you,
sure,
Mr. I have health conditions. Such a thing to brag about.
Me and my hoity-toity sickness.
But it's probably this summer at some point. You'll get an opportunity, and you have a place where, does Amazon Music let you make playlists and stuff?
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah, you've got something to do in that respect.
Mm-hmm. You have channels and playlists, and and you know what's really cool is listening. I listened to this twice. I listened to this over the last weekend, and then I listened to it again today, and it was really cool because with my Amazon subscription, I played the album and I loved the album, and I was still doing what I was doing. And so what they do is they make suggestions. They say, we're going to keep playing shit. We're going to keep this party rolling.
Go listen to this now.
You love that? Let's listen to this. And of course, one of the funny things is it does this sometimes. I played the last song, So Long Lonely.
Yeah, Lonesome.
So Long Lonesome. Great song. And then Amazon said, hey, you love listening to explosions in the sky? You should hear this song. It's called So Long Lonesome. And so they played it twice in a row, essentially.
Played just the song, or did they play it like a single version of it or something like that? Just
the song. I played the song from the album. And then it played something by Mogwai. And then it played...
I need to listen to more Mogwai.
It was good. And
was it I don't remember Take Me Somewhere Nice? Was it that song?
I don't remember what song it was.
I like that song. Anyway.
No, it wasn't Take Me Somewhere Nice. It was I don't remember. And then it was This Will Destroy You.
Okay. So you're really getting into some they got you in a post-rock groove.
They did, and it was like, I'm enjoying this,
It's just it's chill shit. There's a lot of This Will Destroy You on that Griffin playlist as well.
Sure.
I think actually, I don't know. Maybe that was my Cade playlist. The character that succeeded Griffin in that campaign had
Cade?
a lot of...
Don't you have a nephew named Cade?
Yeah, which I thought was weird when my sister was like, our new baby's name is Cade. And I was just like, oh, that's a weird coincidence.
And the next baby's going to be Griffin.
I don't feel like that's the sort of name they would go for. It would have to. I think it would have to be another C. They're going with C names.
Really?
They're my oldest nephew's name is Callan.
Callan,
Cade,
Cockpuncher.
If they had. Jesus.
No?
Maybe. I don't think so. I don't think that's what they would go for. But yeah, I also this album has come to mind a lot in the last year, just because of the title and the names of the tracks. All of a sudden, I miss everyone. Well, what's been going on with people over the last year.
Sort of appropriate. And it's not really all of a sudden,
I mean, in March of last year, it was all of a sudden for a lot of people. For us, we didn't, start working from home or anything like that for a while.
And it fucked me up to look at the calendar and to go. It's been March a year. 3rd. That's not March 3rd. It was just March 17th a moment ago.
Yeah, it was. We just did Kayle's birthday where we watched The Fanatic.
Yeah. Well, that was a fucking year ago?
Yeah. We watched that for my birthday.
Oh, God.
We watched that for my birthday, on my birthday.
Wow.
What a birthday present it was.
Oh, yes, certainly. The gift that keeps on giving.
The Fanatic, a film by I was about to say Charles Durst.
Durst?
Frederick Durst.
Yeah. Did I tell you I saw him in a TikTok? Yeah, I told you.
Fred Durst in a TikTok?
Yeah, I was going scrolling through the TikToks because my oldest daughter got me a TikTok account.
Okay.
She says she got me one of them accounts and she put it on my phone.
Okay.
And this woman is going down she's Hispanic.
Okay.
She's and she goes by this grizzled old man in the cereal aisle,
and it's Fred Durst.
Excuse me, aren't you Fred Durst?
You told me that.
I did tell you this, yeah.
And then it's like, where's the cereal or whatever it was?
Where's the watermelon? A watermelon? It's
over there.
Yeah. The split ways there.
I don't know what popped into my head, why it popped into my head, but I was thinking of Mick Fleetwood riding a longboard, drinking cranberry juice.
Yeah, and then Stevie Nicks tried to kind of do it, which she did. She put on roller skates, but she didn't really stand up in them.
Okay. But yeah. No, I've been. This album's always a little bit on my mind. I cycle back to it a lot. This is the Explosions in the Sky album I've listened to the most just because it has that connection to me of that first D character, which. I mean, I've talked about it so much. It means a lot to me. It means an incredible amount to me. But I've listened to this so many times and it doesn't get old. And I imagine I have a fantasy of like when I'm listening to It's Natural to Be Afraid of that last section with the really hefty snare hits in there of just like that being a dance at a wedding. And it's like, this is a 13-minute song. That's not realistic.
Which, by the way,
but it's all of their music is so romantic. Explosions in the Sky is incredibly romantic and nostalgic feel to it.
And I want the drums themselves. I think of all the things I've listened to over the last couple of years, these are the best recorded drums I have heard.
The drums sound amazing.
So amazing. It's like you're right. It's like you're sitting in the trap set.
Incredibly crisp.
Here. Yeah.
Incredibly crisp drums.
Very little, if no reverb on them. I mean, a lot of times they put lots of reverb on the drums.
And you would think it's post-rock. Everything else is kind of drowned in reverb. And echo and delay and everything else. But the drums are just so snappy.
Right. So snappy and right here and very stereofied. I mean, these obviously so well mic'd and so well recorded.
I will say there is, I want to say it's the end of Welcome Ghosts, maybe. Where I prefer to listen to that song on speakers rather than headphones because it does a thing that I despise in a lot of music I listen to, where an extended period of the song plays through one channel. And I really hate that as a person who listens to music primarily through headphones.
Sure.
It bugs the shit out of me because it's like I want to hear it through both ears because I I have fairly good hearing, but I have some minor tinnitus going on. And so the other ear is just like this black void where it
with a
feels,
tiny amount of ringing.
it feels really uncomfortable physically to have it coming through just one channel, even though that's the way it's supposed to be. And it tickles the ear that it's coming through.
Sure.
Like that ear starts to feel weird and I don't fucking like it. So like I love so much of this album, but I get to that and I'm just like, stop it. Just go play through the other ear.
Yeah.
I want to hear through both. I got 2 of these motherfuckers. I want to use both of them to listen to your amazing album.
Play through my middle ear.
Play through my middle ear. I mean, that's kind of, I do love the, just the way audio works in the way that you can produce audio, where if you're wearing headphones, or I guess if you have a really good surround sound, you can kind of feel audio in your brain.
Yeah, it feels like it's there.
It feels like if it's coming through both channels, it feels like it's right in the middle. And then you can kind of, it's a weird sensory sort of feeling that I get of being able to physically feel where audio is between my ears, depending upon the balance of the channels.
Mr. Dolby was a genius.
Mr. Dolby.
Yeah.
The inventor of the stereo. I don't know if that's not correct. I have to imagine there was a Mr. Dolby.
Yeah,
right?
like Thomas Dolby.
I don't know.
Not the same guy. She blinded me with science.
Did Harry Potter give him a sock?
Yeah, he gave Dolby. Dolby is a free stereo creator.
So I think it's fair to say that this album does not slap.
It doesn't slap.
It's a post-rock album. It's not going to slap.
It doesn't slap as in, yeah, that slaps. It slaps like, this is good.
This is a good thing. Explosions go ahead.
I truly enjoyed this, is what I was going to say.
Explosions in the Sky has also kind of been known. They've their songs have been featured in a ton of television. I think because they're not particularly precious about who gets to use their music.
Yeah.
But most notably, people will recognize them as being heavily featured on the soundtrack for both the movie and the television show for Friday Night Lights. They're all over the place and in the Friday Night Lights franchise. They also did parts of the soundtrack for the film Lone Survivor, a whole bunch of other films. They've done entire or parts of soundtracks for. I really liked I like the movie Lone Survivor. I think it's not particularly accurate to what actually happened in that scenario, but it's a good movie. It's an effective movie.
That reminds me, a thing that grinds my gears today.
What grinds your gears?
Today, because I get it recommended. I'd never seen it. The TV series Designated Survivor.
Oh,
have you heard of this?
Kiefer Sutherland.
With Kiefer Sutherland. Yes. And so I've seen like 4 episodes. It's a fun sort of political drama.
Yeah. A what if kind of scenario.
Yeah. And so today I'm like, I should watch another episode of that. And so I scooted over to it with the remote, and then it did a preview, or it did a synopsis of the whole first season.
Oh, nice! Thanks for spoiling that.
Spoiling the whole thing. Wait, you mean she dies? Fuck! I see episode 4. Netflix, fuck you!
What the fuck?
God
Netflix?
damn it!
That is weird.
Yeah.
Why the fuck would they do that?
I don't know.
What was his? Because I've not seen the show. What was his cabinet position?
Oh, housing. He was the HUD.
It's kind of like the dude in the new season of The Expanse that ends up becoming the temporary
the president,
Secretary General of the UN before he gets a vote of no confidence and gets fucking booted out of there.
Right. And he did the right thing. He went to
you went to Avasarala and was like, "Hey, I need your help,"
I don't fucking know what I'm doing,
and then promptly ignored all of her advice.
Yeah, that was
I really could use your help. By the way, I'm not going to listen to anything you say.
And then no confidence. Yeah,
to get the Queen of Earth back in business.
She is like in charge now, right?
Yeah, she's the Secretary General again.
I need to go back.
Spoilers for season 5 of The Expanse.
I need to go back and watch the last episode, because I watched the last episode.
A lot happened really quickly.
Very quickly. And it didn't dawn on me until the day after I watched it.
That was the finale.
That was the finale.
Yeah.
I thought, wow, a lot of shit happened. Really setting up for a lot of shit next week.
Yeah. Next season. Season 5 was definitely a build-up season of hey, the big shit's going to happen next season.
A lot of great episodes, but
yeah, just great character work and everything. But it's like not a ton of really mechanically meaningful things happened. The status quo wasn't radically.
No,
not generally radically altered. Nobody got defeated.
No,
there was nobody got over. No grave threat was overcome.
A lot of posturing, a lot of positioning.
Yeah, and that's how that went. The score 80 on Metacritic. I think that's 80 is kind of the average for albums that are considered good, because when you, especially the way Metacritic does. You average out all the reviews. Of course, some people are not going to like the thing and give it a low score.
Sure.
Some people are really going to like the thing and give it a very high score. Uh-huh. But if it's generally good, it usually comes out to about 80. That's the lesson I've learned over the last few years.
Right. That's why I never trust a score that's like 99.
Yeah, because it's either going to be it's either not going to live up to the hype, or every once in a while it's like, oh yeah.
Yeah, every once in a while. But mostly it's because only 4 people have reviewed it.
Yeah,
and that's mom and Auntie Tanya.
Yeah,
and and they've all.
By the way, if you'd like to give us a review on iTunes,
just saying,
just saying. I actually have no idea what our score is. I never check on any of that things.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that.
I don't give a shit. Clearly. Favorite song I've already mentioned. It's Natural to Be Afraid.
Right. I really liked the final song.
So Long Lonesome.
I also really liked What Do You Have to Come Home To.
It's a good one. I love all of these. I love all of them.
I because I was thinking, well, Kayle's going to ask me later which song do I like best, and the truth is, I feel like this whole thing is kind of one piece.
It is.
It feels like a single piece.
That's post rock for you, though.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, the shining example of that is like an early Godspeed You Black Emperor album where it's like, what's your favorite song? Well, it's kind of all one big thing. I like this one 7-minute section from I like the 7-minute movement from this track.
I like from the part where he starts talking about how the car's on fire and there's no driver at the wheel.
Yeah.
Until you hear the drums in the end.
like the part where there's train noises for 3 minutes. I like the part where it's ambient sounds of a woman over the loudspeaker at a Arco station.
These are all the same album. That's weird. That's the weird part.
Well, no. The thing you mentioned is from the album previous.
That's from the previous.
That's from Dead Flag Blues.
Yeah, these other ones are Lift Your Skinny Fist. Yeah.
Or the album is F sharp infinity.
Right, the song is Dead Flag Blues.
Or is it F sharp A sharp infinity? I can't remember. Fucking Godspeed You Black Emperor. What a band. It's Natural to Be Afraid is not the only song there's that I associate with that character. I also really associate. There's a song called on their very first album, which I cannot remember the name of, called "Remember Me as a Time of Day," which I worked that quote into his backstory. I worked the title of that song into his backstory as a thing that his father told him when he was a kid. As like a, like, hey, there was something, someone said something to him about like, hey, your parents are going to die one day, basically. Sure. And it was a child grappling with the concept of death, basically. And his dad telling him like, hey, yeah, I'm going to be gone someday. Yeah. His dad was also an elf. So it was like, that's going to be a long ways away. You'll probably die before me. But he was being nice and was like, remember me as a time of day and I'll always be around. And so he had a little pocket sundial. And after his father would pass away, his father died in a dragon attack.
Sure.
But every day at like 3:00, he would take out the sundial and basically, it's 3:00, and he would basically do the whole grave conversation of, visiting someone's grave and having a conversation with them.
Hi, Dad.
He would just do that as a part of his day.
It's you o'clock.
It's you o'clock. And he would do that to the point where he basically had an internal clock where he didn't need to look at it anymore. And he was able to basically figure out at any point what time of day it was because he just kind of had it. He had an internal clock that was always spinning. There's also another song on there called on that first album called A Song for Our Fathers or something like that I also put in that playlist. Their first album is decent. You can tell it's their first album.
Sure.
Of like production's not particularly good.
They hadn't found their stride yet.
Yeah, they hadn't found their stride yet. There is one album I haven't really listened to all that. I've hardly listened to. It's the album between The Earth Is Not a Cold Dead Place and this one that's called Take Care, Take Care, Take Care. And that one I haven't listened to very much. Also, there's The Rescue, which is another album of theirs that I haven't listened to very much at all. I kind of pick and choose with my Explosions in the Sky. I know what I like, and I listen. It's like fireworks. Talking about my favorite firework.
I pick and choose. If you didn't know, you're talking about a band.
Nuclear explosions often happen in the sky.
Sure,
because that's they
one constant one.
Nuclear explosions don't go off at ground level. They're airburst. They do much more damage if they explode about 1,000 feet above the ground.
Right, because that can spread that way.
Yeah, that's a thing I know about nuclear weapons, and just explosions in general are more effective if they take place above ground level,
especially fireworks.
Unless you're trying to destroy like a bunker or something, in which case you want something to go into the ground.
Trying to implode a building.
Yeah.
Launching missiles above it, it's probably not a great idea for the city that it's in the middle of.
Now I'm thinking of there's what is it? I can't remember. There's a type of weapon that basically kind of produces an implosion effect, the air pressure. I can't remember what it's called. I was going to say baryonic, but that's a bastardization of baryonics, which is a dinosaur.
And barometrics.
Barometrics. It has something to do with barometric pressure.
Yeah.
But baryonics is a dinosaur.
Right.
So that's not it. Closely related to Spinosaurus. Because I know things about dinosaurs. What medal are you bestowing upon this, like Maskanata to Chewbacca?
As I would gladly listen to this over and over again, I'll give it a gold.
I'm also giving it a gold just because this means a lot to me. Of course, I'm giving it a gold. I wrote it down. I forgot to mention it earlier. The band is made up of Chris Haskey, who plays drums, Michael James, who plays guitar, bass, sometimes bass, and sometimes keyboards. Munaf Riani, I believe I'm saying that right, plays guitar, keys, and...
guitar keys? He plays the guitar?
Yeah, the guitar.
Awesome.
Guitar, keyboard, and additional percussion, and Mark Smith, who plays guitars and sometimes synth. Also a thing that I wrote down because I thought it was vaguely interesting. Do you know who Anthony Fantano is?
Ooh, Anthony Fantano. That name sounds very familiar.
He is a music reviewer on YouTube, the internet's busiest music nerd.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
Generally bald or very short hair. He has something that I noticed and I was like, that tattoo looks very familiar. He has the album art tattooed on his shoulder.
So he likes this then.
Apparently he enjoyed this enough to get the album art. It's also beautiful album art. It is.
They have some beautiful album art in all their albums.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is just beautiful music all the way around.
Yeah.
With Explosions in the Sky.
Approve.
I approve. So we're continuing Non-Metal March next week. What are you thinking?
Well, I had a lot of things. Here's the funny thing. A lot of things ran through my head, and a number of those things, I thought, I'd like Kayle to hear this, but he's going to hate it. And so I thought, I can't hear Kayle shit all over this thing that I really love. But I will say... I'm
sorry if I do that too much.
No. You hardly do that at all.
Okay.
I think you've done it twice.
And those times were definitely one into the pandemonium.
Yeah.
What was the other one?
Nuclear assault.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't care for that.
Which is fine. It's fine.
It happens.
I don't have thin skin. It's okay. In fact, I like to hear that you don't like or what you do and don't like.
Okay.
I don't want you blowing sunshine at my ass.
All right. But next time.
Next week, you might like this one. It is not metal adjacent, perhaps.
Well, it's Non-Metal March. So
from 1989. It's The Real Thing.
Oh, by Mr. Bungle.
Not quite. No, close.
Yeah, it's not the same. Obviously Mr. Bungle's a different band, but
right?
Same.
Which their new album, we have to talk about that.
Yeah, I think I've listened to a little bit.
It's great.
What's the fucking band though?
Fate No Mas.
That's also a different band.
Fate No Mas.
Fate No More.
Faith No More. Yeah.
Is that where the
Fate No Mas?
Is that where that comes from?
What?
Because doesn't what's the singer?
Mike Patton.
Doesn't Mike Patton have a band called Fantomas?
It's Fantomas, not Fenomas. Fenomas is the Spanish. There's a band called Brujeria that includes members of Faith No More in it.
Okay.
They're kind of a Mexican sort of pseudo thrash band.
It's in the same. I'm aware they're in the same vein as like
Fenomas.
A lot of stuff Mike Patton is associated with, where it's like, this is kind of metal, but also it's just weird. It's doing it's weird. It's doing a thing, but it's good.
Yeah. So we'll talk about in the real thing next. But one of these times we have to talk about
the most well known Faith No More album,
the Revenge of the Easter Bunny or whatever,
which is the new
Mr. Bungle album. Yeah.
Okay.
With the guitarist is Scotty Ian and the drummer is Dave Lombardo and.
Because of course it is.
Why not?
Because it's Mike Patton, and despite how he must be good to work with in some measure, because he strikes me as a very weird dude.
Yeah,
and a lot of times, like really kind of weird, sort of very idiosyncratic guys like him.
Yeah. Are hard to work with. I feel like he's kind of, if you're on the same page as he is.
Yeah.
If you're on the same page, he loves you and he's the best guy to work with.
If you're not on the same page, then probably a nightmare.
He's a dick. Yeah.
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 And obviously he's done a lot of public stunts where he comes across as quite a bit of an asshole, but that was kind of his thing.
Right. Yeah. I remember that there was an interview backstage at some sort of, it was a large festival, traveling festival. And he was being interviewed by some interviewer, and Wolf Mother was playing on the stage. Then he stopped in the middle of the interview. He goes, "Stop. Is this fucking 1974? What the fuck is going on right now?"
Mike Patton. I think that was the MTV Music Awards where he was supposed to introduce something and just said, "Fuck it. I'm going to do whatever."
referred to the MTV award as like a dildo or something like that.
He's reminds me of a much more cogent Brent Hines. Where he just doesn't give a shit. He's just going to do whatever. So, okay, I'm excited for this.
Yeah.
Faith No More.
This is their most famous album.
By far.
It's their third album, I believe.
Yeah. And it's their first with Mike Patton, isn't it?
Yes.
So yeah, we'll
Chuck Mosley was their original singer.
We'll do Faith No More next week, and I'll have to make an effort to listen to the new Mr. Bungle as well. I think I listened to some of it when it came out and was like, holy fuck, what is this? But I'm going to have to listen to more of it soon. So yeah, that's next week for us. Until then, you can find us on Facebook and on Twitter. We post new episode links there, and you can also subscribe to our feeds on Libsyn via the podcast source app. If you are an Android user, that's probably the most convenient way to get to us. Or if you are an iOS user, you can find us on the podcast app. Just search Bronze Metalist, the name of the podcast. You're already listening to it, so
you got here.
I don't know why I need to tell you that.
If for some reason this is playing over the loudspeaker at a grocery store,
that would be really weird.
Maybe talk to somebody, ask them why this is happening. Compliment them on their choice of listening, and then say, or, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, compliment them, but also be like, "What?
What?
But why?
Why?"
All right. Thanks very much for listening to this episode of the Bronze Metalist Podcast. I'm Kayle.
I'm OJ.
Congratulations.